The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
As Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, hello there, and welcome to Databank Brawl, the podcast where we learn about Star Wars characters, discuss them, share our little feelings, and make them fight. Make those characters fight for our amusement and yours. I am your host. My name is Joseph Scrimshaw. With me, as always, is Ken Napzok.
Sir, I am happy to be here. It is my vow to you that I leave Tarascasi out of this fight.
It's fair. You know, I brought it up the 1 week, you brought it up the next week, right. And if it gets brought up this week, it just can't be by either you or I.
What's funny is I never played that game.
I did. Oh, for many hours. Many hours. I was vaguely frustrated by almost Mortal Kombat Star Wars. Anyway, we have a great guest returning from last week. Ash Crossan is back.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to say something so weird again.
Your voices did it. We had to bring you back.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I might ask you to do some more voices.
I literally get sweaty when you're like, do a voice. I'm like, oh, no, I can't.
But they're so
good. You can.
No.
You can. You can.
You can.
I can.
Get
yeah,
it?
sure.
You can.
Yeah, I can. I'll stop now. And my middle name is Alan, so I'm Kenneth Allen Napzok. Can.
Oh, wow.
Can.
You're can. Oh, wow.
Mine's
Yeah. Amazing. You're Ack.
Ashley Ann Crossan.
You're like Kathy having a bad day. Like, Ack.
Exactly.
Okay. Good to know. I'm Jazz. Anyway.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, no. It's me. It can only be so cool. There's a limit. I hit the ceiling. You, Ash, can bring up a Tarascasi this week if you want to. I will leave that up to you. I'm going to say neither can or I can.
Okay.
But you can.
Okay.
You can.
An experience point she has to spend in
That's
our
right. Exactly.
room here.
Exactly.
I like it.
And we have some alcohol. It's okay. It'll be fine. We just like to be honest with our audience. Sometimes we have it. Sometimes we don't.
It's become an odd staple of Databank. I don't even know when that really began. I think because you and I, when we would generally record Databanks after a long day of ForceCenter main shows.
Yep. And then be like, we're kicking back a little bit.
Yeah, to be like, you want a drink? Yeah, I'll have a drink.
Yeah, why not?
And now it's a problem.
And
I think it's good. You need the confidence to say the weirdest possible stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And as always, we encourage you to drink responsibly, but fight irresponsibly out there.
Yes, speculate responsibly, drink responsibly. Everything else, just go crazy. That's our message here on Databank Brawl.
Yeah, that's what we put forth.
All right, so Ash, in honor of you, I don't know if break's the right word. I decided to go even weirder than we've ever gone on Databank Brawl.
Speaking my language.
And
I
we
made
have
something
been
special.
Weird lately in the most wonderful manner.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of weird stuff, and this is a fight that is going to, I'm trying to think of the best way to reveal this. It is going to feature a total of 4 characters.
Okay.
But it is not going to be any sort of elimination thing. This is going to be a combat in which a blank is on a blank, and it will fight a blank on a blank.
It's a lot of blanks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'm drawing a complete blank.
So, this is partially because I didn't want to just repeat a combatant, but I also wanted to allow Ash to have the experience of fighting with his combatant.
Okay. I feel like I can assume where we're going, but I'm not sure.
Okay. I think you assumed the first part correctly. The second part, I'm not sure. So our first combatant, are you both ready?
Yes, sir.
Is your
Ready.
alcohol ready?
Actually, give me a second. I'm ready.
Let's all just politely wait for Ash.
Politely wait and scene.
Good.
And
Excellent. All
we're
right.
on to the second beer. There we go.
Our first combatant is a Porg riding a Blurrg. So I think everybody knows what a Porg is, so I will just quickly read its Databank description while Ken and Ash are looking up Blurrg. A Porg is a small, flat-muzzled avian that flocks about the rocks and roosts in the cliffs of Luke Skywalker's secluded island. Porgs are inquisitive creatures. sweet and to the point description of porgs on the databank.
Yeah, males slightly larger than females. A group of them is called a murder. A baby one's called a porglet.
Yeah.
Got
Now,
it.
what is the gender? Since you are the porg master, what is the gender differentiation? I always forget that one of them has orange, right?
Their colors do vary, but I just know that males are larger.
Males are larger.
Yeah.
Okay.
In general, it looks like generally it has the orange, but yeah, you're right. There's some there's brown, gray, white, orange.
Oh,
But
wow,
It does say
okay.
orange parentheses males, but
Okay.
I trust Ash on anything porg.
Okay, so we've covered porgs before. I just want, because the porgs fought a Praetorian Guard and they won. Ash,
Of course they did.
I want to hear though a little bit about your feelings on porgs.
I feel very strongly about them. First of all, am I just in general, or am I going into my own personal history here? With Ken.
Oh, you want to go to
You
the
can cover it all.
Well,
Yeah.
because just a brief history is that they played them in a reel at like Celebration or Comic-Con or something, and I was in love with them, and I thought they were so cute, and then we were on Jedi Council together, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're so adorable, and you were like, oh, I hate them, I just want to eat them.
Wait a minute.
Ken's face is saying no.
This is selective memory. This is
how I remember
Bernstein
it.
versus Bernstein bears here.
Okay.
Okay. I did start the how to cook a porg movement.
Well, I wasn't even there for that.
Yeah.
You just said it on I think Movie
Right.
Talk. You were like, hey, everybody send Ashley recipes of how they should be prepared to eat.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I opened my Twitter and it's just flooded in my mentions with weird like porg recipes. And I'm just like
What was the best one?
texting Ken being like, what did you do?
Was there any that sounded good though?
No.
Was there any that made you hungry?
No.
I say this loving porgs, but understanding that
But then, like, imagine my surprise.
eating them is a part of the cycle of life.
This went on
Beer
for a
battered pork
long
tenders.
time. I mean, this went on for like 6 months.
I mean, it's the internet. It's still going. Yeah.
Yeah, but this like went on for 6 months before the movie. And then imagine just sitting 2 rows behind Ken at the premiere. And
Yes.
seeing that scene.
I heard
And
you scream.
screaming.
I heard you scream.
Because it was just like such this like made up fantasy weird thing. And then it was actually like written into the movie.
And what is hilarious is they knew that was going in.
Because I interviewed Ryan Johnson and I was like, that had to have been a late ad after like I literally thought we got that put into the movie.
I wish I had that power.
Because I think that I am like way more amazing.
Well,
than
yeah,
I am.
and all credit to Ken for popularizing it with his wit.
No,
But
it was
this
me.
is that
This is
joke.
about me.
It's a cute thing.
Is
the
that-
cooking joke was going to be there.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
there from the get go. I was just shocked.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, I mean, I'd rather get the Rise of Chief Chirpa movie made than get the porgs cooked. Anyways, we're here to fight, but I've always loved the porgs. I just have.
I must have selective memory.
No, but I did start it because I have a sarcastic comedian side. So yeah, let's cook the porgs. Tell Ash you're going to cook the porgs.
I don't think this specific brawl will ever end.
I will be satiated when you decide that there's an actual like cooking recipe that you say that sounds a little tasty.
I have gone on record as to say he already cooked it. Chewbacca already cooked it, killed it. Take a bite at that point. Now you're wasteful.
so you
now
feel
you're being
like-
wasteful.
Okay. Okay.
Now that
Interesting.
Porg died in vain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My headcanon is that the porg was already dead and Chewie's just basically
Absolutely.
cooked some roadkill. But anyway, we will move on.
To a blurg?
Yeah, so I love.
yeah,
well,
Blurrg.
I'll save my porg feelings. I love them.
Well-
I have always loved them,
yeah.
cooking or no cooking. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
they're a great addition to the Star Wars galaxy, and I hope they feature in Episode 9 prominently. So,
There was some on the Falcon, and there were porglets too. There was like
oh yeah,
a hatching of porgs.
oh yeah. I mean, so they really should be there
So-
canonically. That's going to be a great debate about whether or not J.J. Abrams is disrespecting Ryan Johnson.
Oh, can't wait for that video.
It's film canon. It is the truth. Ken, did you have anything else you wanted to say about porgs before we move on to blurgs?
Other than I do think they're legitimately awesome creatures, and I think I'm all pro pork.
Nice.
Porg.
All right, let's move on to blurgs. Here is what the databank says about blurgs. Blurrgs are two-legged beasts of burden found on a number of worlds in the galaxy. Stoic and strong, they are used for everything from agricultural labor to war, carrying Twi'lek guerrillas and clone troopers into battle.
Mm-hmm.
Blurrgs look like a very accidental breed. Like two creatures accidentally hooked up, and they were just like, "Oh my god, a fish just hooked up with a dinosaur, and look what we have! Look what we
really
made!"
does.
It really does look like somebody was halfway through designing an animal, and then it was Friday, and they're like, "Screw it, we'll forget the head. Just the body's the face."
The body is like a T-Rex, and then the head is a deep sea fish.
That's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is.
It was like, it's something that definitely walked out of a lab, and everyone was just like, "Oh no!" And then it accidentally multiplied, and they're like, "Well."
I'm so delighted that this is the most passionate that Ash has been. It's about the Blurrg. It's great.
It's so odd looking.
Ken, does Wikipedia have other details about the Blurrgs?
Mottled brown, blue,
And then
and
like
green
the naming
skin.
of it just behind the scenes. Like there's so much going on.
Eye color black. Behind the scenes is what I think the most interesting stuff. Because I didn't know. I haven't seen these since I was in the 80s. The Blurrgs originated in Ewoks: The Battle of Endor, the TV movie.
Really?
I did not know that. I did not know that, Ed. But they were brought back for the Clone Wars. They're mentioned in the Star Wars video game Battlefront 2, mentioned in Thrawn Alliances, and Aftermath. Two of the Aftermath book, Aftermath and Aftermath Empire's End. Way to go, Wendig. That's why I love Chuck as a Star Wars writer. Pulls in some far-reaching things. So they've been around.
Yeah, and we physically see them for sure. I believe in Clone Wars, but also in Rebels. Rebels they're in the episode with Hera and Cham out racing speeder bikes.
That's right. They're riding them.
They're riding them. They ride a Blurrg.
So they're side because there's no sides listed. They're bigger.
Oh yeah, they're rideable. Yeah.
There's a quote here.
Oh yeah, give us the Blurrg quote.
My Blurrg may be ill-tempered, but she's much faster than your riding machines. So very fast, kind of rude, kind of everywhere. Apparently, according to
ill-tempered
all their appearances.
That's a key thing.
Ill-tempered, yeah. And one of my favorite details that made them pop to mind is playing Battlefront 2. That is one of the blasters in the officer class is a Blurrg. Named
mentioned
after.
only.
Gotcha. So that's where the mention.
I have killed many people with Blurrgs.
You could ride a Tauntaun on Hoth. I'd like to ride a Blurrg in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, we need a Ryloth level where you can ride a Blurrg and fire a Blurrg at the same time.
I'll never be your Blurrg of burden.
So they're very fast.
Yeah, they can outrun speeder bikes.
Yeah.
Or, catch up.
All right, Ash, you gave a pretty good physical description. Is there anything else you'd like to add so people can really have in the theater of their mind what a Blurrg looks like? Any other feelings?
They look extremely stupid, but it doesn't seem like they are. I don't know.
Porg riding the Blurrg.
I like how big their faces are for myself. Like they're just like
comically large.
Yeah, it's like if like humans didn't have heads and you just had like a face that encompassed your whole torso.
Yeah,
that's accurate.
It is amazing. They got sharp little teeth too.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And the name
dumb
Blurrg.
little T-Rex arms.
Yeah.
The name Blurrg alone just seems like you got drunk and couldn't say what you're trying to say. Like my Blurrg's outside.
Blurrg.
What are you trying to say?
I need to get a lift or a Blurrg or something.
Yeah.
I gotta get home. Ken, do you have feelings about the Blurrgs?
I like them now. I do like that Ryloth arc. It's a lot of good stuff. So I thought that was an interesting thing to have them ride those kind of like creatures because the Tauntauns are some of my favorites there. So it makes sense. I like them. I love when little weird things like that get mentioned. I definitely want to go research the Ewoks Battle of Endor and see them or whatever.
Or hear about them. Yeah. All right. So our first combatant, to be clear now, is one Porg riding one Blurrg.
Porg on a Blurrg.
Porg on a Blurrg.
Sounds like a good appetizer.
That's exactly right.
Oh.
All right. Are you ready for your next combatant?
Definitely
Ready.
now.
Your next combatant is a Vulptex on a Varactyl. Here's what StarWars.com has to say about Vulptex.
Mad scientist.
Vulpteces are fox-like creatures with coats made up of crystalline bristles. They are gregarious and curious with keen eyesight in the ability to squeeze their bodies through narrow gaps. A skulk of Vulpteces has taken up residence in the abandoned rebel base on Crate.
Crystal critters.
Crystal critters. Now, Porgs are obviously the main show, the main feature of Last Jedi, but the Vulpteces were cool too. What did you think of them, Ash?
I liked them, but I related more to the Porg. Like, I'm like arguably cute, a little annoying. Vulptexes are very sexy and will steal your man. Like,
Okay. This is I dig for truth when I talk to people, and this is the first time that you have said that you relate to the Porgs.
Yeah.
Okay,
People
so when you
can't
see a
decide how
Porg,
they
you're like,
feel.
it me.
It me.
That's so great.
There's a lot
It's
there.
cute. It yells a lot.
I like this.
It lives in fear of being cooked.
Yeah, also a fear. I don't want to be murdered.
Gets along with Chewbacca.
Exactly.
It's you.
And like it wins Chewbacca over throughout the movie. That's me. When someone doesn't like me, I have to win them over.
Oh,
It's
nice.
Oh, that's some deep-seated
This
stuff.
is we're getting lots of great insight on
It's like
Databank Brawl.
Porg therapy.
Yeah, okay. But the Vulpteces you like, but you don't relate to.
I like as in like I will follow you on Instagram. I will be like, man, I wish I looked like that. But I do not. This is a lifestyle I will never like. Vulptexes they get invited to like the Bellagio pool party, and they.
Are you saying that the Vulpteces are the influencers of the Star Wars world?
I believe so. Yes, yes.
I like
A
that.
skulk of
they're the Logan
influencers.
Pauls. The Jake, actually the Jake Pauls.
Like, they're like, hi, I'm Vulptex, Vinny the Vulptex. This is my, barbecue sauce I'm using today. Here's a link if you want to.
In today's video, we're going to escape the cave without any of the rebels knowing where we're going.
Squeeze through narrow gaps
Interesting.
of social
Interesting take on it.
acceptability. Yep. All right.
It's like, and they're filming like the selfie video where like, we got out, they didn't even know where we went.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And they're going to adopt the nickname Crystal Critters. They think that's real hip.
Yeah.
Vulpteces
Oh, yeah.
is a little uptight.
Wow,
They're like,
wow.
no, actually, we're the Crystal Critters.
Really
We're gonna start a
painted
band.
an interesting picture of these creatures
a
here.
lot more. Yeah.
The Vulpteces have fought on Databank Brawl
Yes.
as well. Do you have any new or fresh thoughts now that they've been compared to social media stars?
I'm not comfortable with that at this point, though I agree with it at some level. I still love them. I still, upon finding them on Crate in Battlefront 2, will
good.
chase them around giggling like Homer Simpson chasing a dog with a puffy tail.
They make
Here,
such
Puff.
beautiful
Here,
noise.
Puff. Here, Puffy, Puff.
Crate makes me hungry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because of the salt?
That, like, I do love salt.
It's a
But
good
also, like, the whole
margarita
thing
of a
looks like a
planet.
red velvet cupcake.
It's true.
Yeah. Just makes me
That's fair.
starving.
That's
It
fair.
is. It's a red velvet cupcake covered in salt. Everything a person could ever want.
I would eat that.
All right. I also like the Vulpteces. I never thought of them as sexy. I thought of them as sly but noisy, which is kind of a contrast that makes me interested in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Vulptex, not the Vulpteces because it's just one. The Vulptex is going to be riding a Varactyl. Here is what StarWars.com has to say about Varactyls.
I was going to say,
lot.
isn't this thing obnoxious?
We'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
Here's what the databank says. Buckle in because it's long. Varactyls are majestic reptavian herbivores, native to the Utapau system. I'm going to say that whole sentence again to prove that I can.
Yes.
Varactyls are majestic reptavian herbivores native to the Utapau system.
Beautiful.
They typically have blue and green feather manes and feather ridges along their back. Used as incredibly loyal and obedient mounts, they have strides large and strong enough to navigate the uneven and often vertical landscapes of Utapau. On the last day of the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi used a Varactyl named Boga to hunt down General Grievous and battle him in his wheel bike. Boga was a sad casualty of Order 66 when Commander Cody opened fire on General Kenobi and his Varactyl mount.
Wow. That
Okay, so-
last day of the Clone Wars.
Like
The
a
last day of
very-
he almost made it out.
I hope you had the time of your life.
So it's like a colorful parrot dinosaur. So we're really going like beautiful, sexy versus
Yeah.
fish head
Fishosaur.
dinosaur Porg.
Fishosaur and a Porg.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know whose side I'm on.
All right. Let's Ken, can you give a description of the visuals of a Varactyl?
Yes. Take the iguana you had as a child, put a saddle on it, grow it by about 100, and give it a big, giant feather plume-like thing around its head, and then give it a name, like, say, Boga, and you've got a Varactyl.
It's like a
4
peacock
meters
lizard.
at the shoulder, yes.
Peacock lizard, yes.
Average length is 15 meters, skin color green, feather color blue and green. And they like plants.
They like plants. They're herbivores. I will go first on feelings, then I'll ask a little bit more what you two think. I love Boga the Varactyl. I like Varactyls. I think they're a cool design. I think it is cool that they can climb vertically up the sinkholes of Utapau. I like the cool noise they make. It was fun for once to see a beast of burden in Star Wars who seemed into it. Who seemed like, you know what? I want a Jedi to jump on me, and I want to be in that fight against the wheel bike. And it only makes it more tragic that they confirmed that Boga died.
Yes.
Which is just brutal, I think.
Yes.
So I'm all about the old Varactyls, the lizard peacocks of Star Wars. You, Ash, were not sure about the Varactyls. You said, I believe, aren't they the annoying ones?
Well, yeah, I just remember the noise being like extremely obnoxious.
Don't get me wrong. If I heard that outside my apartment at like 1 a.m. on Saturday, I'd be like, shut the hell up.
Will you stop?
Yeah.
It's like an alarm to exactly where I am.
Besides their obnoxious noise, do you have any feelings about the Varactyls?
Again, very sexy creature. Beautiful. Out of my league for sure. But otherwise, I feel like this is a really...
So you feel like you couldn't date a Varactyl? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's Star Wars, so...
She's going to accept the Blurrg?
There's a lot of interspecies dating in Star Wars, so we got to keep our options open.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that picture that you're like, come on, Varactyl. Can't we go out? And you're like, I'm stuck with a Blurrg.
I mean, what are the limits in interspecies dating in Star Wars? Because there's a lot of it. So where are the lines?
True.
Yeah. Well, this one has a name. Blur. It's not Barry the Blurrg. It's Boga the Varactyl. So
yeah,
maybe dating material.
Might have a phone number.
I mean,
here's the thing.
Yeah, might have a cell phone.
If Obi-Wan jumped on this Varactyl and he had a vest on, no one would think twice.
Maybe Obi-Wan was interested. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
All right.
But I will say, I think very loyal, very noble, but also can control the noises and maybe will give away your key location.
Okay, not good tactically. Yeah,
a little nervous about
the
that.
The Vulptex on the Varactyl is definitely the noisier competitor.
Loud as hell.
Ken, your
Loud
feelings?
and sexy. Quiet and ugly.
I will not accept ugly for the Porg.
No.
Blurrg, yes.
My feelings are pretty positive, though I do agree there's something about the presence of the Varactyl of Boga, the specific one, in Revenge of the Sith. It never sits 100% well with me. There's some things where I was like, all right, George, you took the dewbacks and you like gave them a name and, a little more. But I get it. And like, I think I love and hate. We're prequelists here. We know it. I love and hate when Obi-Wan whistles and Boga shows up. Because it does show that Boga's like, let's do this. I want to kill some robots. But I'm like, when did he train them? Was, Tion Madone just like, this one will respond to whistles? Like, I don't know.
Obi-Wan's really good at making noises that affect creatures. It's like his Tusken Raider yell. It's one of his special abilities.
Yeah.
Oh, Boga was a female. We probably established that.
No, we didn't.
Where did
Thank
you see
you.
that? I didn't know that.
Boga was a female.
Did you just text Pablo Hidalgo for that? What are you telling me?
No, she's just looking at Wikipedia.
I'm looking at Wikipedia.
I mean, we're in unprecedented territory when we have to discuss 4 characters. So Boga's a lady.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay. But, I mean, we're not fighting.
I'm just saying it changes my dating status a little.
Well, win in Utapau.
Exactly.
So again, we're not fighting Boga.
No, because Boga passed.
Varactyl.
Oh, okay.
Boga was brutally murdered
Gotcha.
by the machinations of Palpatine.
Okay. Backtracking.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay.
No, that's
So overall, I do like the Boga. I like Boga the Varactyl.
okay. Any other thoughts on a Porg on a Blurrg or a Vulptex on a Varactyl?
I think we covered it.
Other
All right.
than this is already going to be the longest and most weird Databank Brawl yet, and I think this is what the people deserve.
It is what you
Also, a Varactyl was on a Clone Wars episode called Crystal Crisis, which just seems a little on the nose for the other character that you picked.
Yeah. I think that was one of the
lost ones,
the lost
yeah.
episodes.
That
yeah.
wasn't aired, yeah.
Yeah, but we can see animatics.
Yeah, that's right. It pulls the kyber crystal away. Yeah.
Animatics of Varactyls. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. All right, with that, let's fight. Porg on a Blurrg versus Vulptex on a Varactyl. Now, a lot of these creatures are native to their location. Yeah. So this could happen anywhere. This could be in an arena. This could be, you know what? I'm going to suggest this and see what you all think. What if these are all creatures that the Resistance has pulled into duty on a Resistance base? Maybe this is even after The Last Jedi.
Okay.
And they've got a lot of these different animals helping them and guarding them on their new hidden base.
Okay.
But
it's a new hidden
some
base.
get loose. What do you think of that, Ken?
I like this idea. I think this new base is on a planet we haven't really explored yet. It's out in wild space, actually. It's out in wild space, so
they're kind of like Noah's Arking at the moment.
yes.
Yeah, in case the First Order, maybe they're pulling animals to help them also, but also just in case the First Order starts blowing up more planets, if they build another Star Killer.
They want a 2x2, all the creatures.
at least 2x2.
Right.
4x4.
So this is Archon 1.
Archon 1.
Archon 1. I never said I was inventive. Out in wild space.
What are you guys writing down?
Archon 1.
We just take notes occasionally because sometimes we say names and stuff and we forget what we established.
I'll forget.
Don't
worry, we'll take it.
immediately forget. Yes, I don't remember what I'm drinking. Anyway, so on Archon 1, there's been some upset. There's an attack. That's not our story. There's something very important going on, a huge battle between the First Order and Resistance out in wild space on Archon 1, but several of the creatures do escape the habitat.
Okay.
And one of them is a Blurrg.
Wow, combining them. I kind of like
They haven't made it yet. Then it will be a Blurrg.
a Blurrg.
A Blurrg. The Blurrg just takes off, and a Porg happened to be riding on the Blurrg.
Okay.
So the Porg and the Blurrg go racing away from the battle, and seeing them take off, they're followed by a Varactyl.
The Varactyl starts running after him, yeah.
You know what? Actually, I think in fact a Vulptex runs after them.
Okay.
And the Varactyl doesn't like to be lonely. A Varactyl doesn't want to go unmounted. So the Varactyl runs after, nudges the Vulptex, and throws it on its back. So
Lovely.
it can be a part of things too.
Lovely. Love it. So now there's a full-on pursuit with a Porg on a Blurrg and a Vulptex served on a Varactyl.
That's right.
Chasing after them. I don't know what a crystal critter makes.
I can do a Porg.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's great.
Nice. That's exactly what the Porg says. What is the Porg's name? Does the Porg have a name?
She does.
Oh,
She does. Her name is Crossan.
Nice.
Crazy enough.
Crossing the Porg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Brian Ward is...
Crossan.
Yeah, Brian Ward is drawing that right now. Yeah.
All right. So Crossan the Porg is writing the Blurrg. Does the Blurrg have a name, Ken?
Yes. It is it is Blurrg the Blurrg.
Blurrg. A little easier to say.
Yeah.
No.
No, you're denying that one?
No. I'm denying that it's going to be easy to say.
Blurrg.
Yeah, I don't
Blurrg the
remember what I
Blurrg.
said.
Blurrg. Yeah,
Blurrg
Blurrg
was
the
kind of
Blurrg.
your combo, so it's in my brain.
Oh, yeah, right.
Sorry, I've had enough vodka that I thought Joseph was like, I'm not accepting that answer. I apologize to you, sir.
I don't veto that easily.
I don't think you've ever really vetoed.
Crossan the Porg is writing Blurrg the Blurrg, and I think they suddenly hit an electrified, like a shield they didn't know was there.
Oh, like a...
Okay.
And falling very close on them is the Vulptex and the Varactyl. Now, the Vulptex has a name as well. Ash, what do you think the Vulptex name is?
Napzok. I don't know how that happened. Crazy.
Napzok?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And I think the Varaktyl's name is...
Scrimshaw.
I'm going to change it to Scrimboga.
Scrimboga is a good one.
Scrimboga. In honor. This Varactyl is descendant of Boga, who died in Order 66, carrying on the honor.
Oh my god!
I like that.
Well, now it's
Amazing.
personal. Okay.
Amazing. Now it's personal.
Okay.
So, Crossan the Porg and Blurrg the Blurrg slam into this shield that's there for their own safety. And then Napzok the Vulptex and Scrimboga the Varactyl headbutt slam straight into our Porg and our Blurrg.
Yeah.
And, anger just pours out.
The Blurrg and the Porg tumble away a few yards, actually, such as the power of the impact. But here's the problem. Napzok, or Zok the Vulptex, as he's called amongst his friends, they are so proud of that moment that they just kind of sit back and I don't know, whatever the Vulptex sound like. This allows the Porg, Crossan, and Blurrg the Blurrg, to reset. And the Porg mounts the Blurrg and points and says, that's right.
So it's only one yell.
The universal Porg word for charge.
Charge. But I'm going to yes and that and say tentatively charge. Because I feel it's the two Porg trill that truly means I'm going to murder you now. I'm out for blood. Because I think the Vulptex Zok and the Varactyl Scrimboga didn't really mean to ram into them. So I think this is a tentative charge.
Oh.
It was just an accident.
It wasn't an
they
act
didn't
of
see the
war.
shield and
Got
they just
it.
rammed into them because they stopped suddenly. So I think
Misunderstood.
Crossan the Porg,
Well,
being wise like
well, you got to remember
her namesake.
that Gary the Porg that was on the Millennium Falcon took a note out of Chewbacca's book and was trying to be like Chewbacca and was trying to be mighty and be like, go for it. And then they kind of, all the Porgs that have been around Gary have now adopted this personality.
Oh, they're real aggressive, right?
Well,
These are like bro Porgs.
they're very curious, but they're also just like, let's get it. Let's get them.
Okay, right. All right. So I like this. So I think in Blurrg the Blurrg's not too bright and mostly just listens to what Crossan the Porg says.
Right.
So I think Blurrg the Blurrg opens its mouth and charges on the command of Crossan. And I think that Blurrg's mouth is so large, I think it gets Scrimboga's entire head in its mouth.
Oh, absolutely.
And does it chomp down, Crossan?
Oh, no. Blurrg the Blurrg is way too stupid to chomp down. He doesn't even know what happened.
Is he choking on the Varactyl head?
Yes. It gets
Holding him nicely in
Yeah.
his head? Okay.
Yes.
In his mouth?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's now covered in saliva.
Scrimboga is covered in the Blurrg saliva.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think the Borg's
Hope you guys are following this.
No, we're this is why we're resetting a little bit here. Okay.
Blurrg the Blurrg's mouth is loosely around Scrimboga the Varaktyl's head.
Right.
Both are still being ridden by their respective animals. What happens next, Ken?
Zok the Vulptex, not a Vulptex, there's not many of them, and Crossan the Porg engage in a slap fight while because their steeds, their mighty steeds, are close to this point, and so Crossan just kind of lets a little murderous scream. There you go, and then
Hops forward.
And then with the I don't know, well, not flippers, but the little wings.
Yeah.
Starts slapping upside the crystal critter.
Gosh. And this
Which
sounds...
I might imagine might cut a little bit, you know?
Oh, on the flippers?
Would cut Crossan?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, too.
Crystal foxes.
Yeah.
This sounds amazing. Crossan is almost slapping in rhythm, so it almost sounds like the Vulptex Zok is keeping a beat as its crystals rattle around. And I think Zok, of course, wants to retaliate. What kind of noise does the Vulptex make?
How dare
it is a sexy creature in your mind.
Of course.
Ash,
Instagram influencer.
an
Yeah.
Instagram influencer.
Famous.
It's a crystal critter that makes little tinkling noises. But when it has been slapped repeatedly about the crystal head,
Right.
and it is ready to roar in rage,
Yeah.
what does it sound like?
I was supposed to retire in 5 days. No, wait, that was last episode.
I need a noise. You're a beer and a half in. You can give me a noise.
I can only think of pork noises.
That was a noise.
It sounded a little like Judd Hirsch in Independence Day. Yeah,
I'm going to yes and that. I
David.
think that's what the Vulptex noise is. Zoc, the Vulptex says,
Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, Canon.
Yeah.
Canon.
Yeah.
Canon.
Canon indeed.
That is its roar, and I think the Vulptex tries to attack the Porg in the place it believes to be the most vulnerable. Mm-hmm. I think the eyes.
Yes.
I was
They're
gonna-
pretty inviting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big target area.
I'll allow it.
Big
Right.
target area indeed.
I think it full on head crystal butts
Okay, yeah.
crossing the Porg. Did you have another thought?
I'll yes and that. Charges, headbutts, pushes the pork back across him. And then, like in Mario Brothers 3, when you played as the raccoon, you could spin with that tail and
Yeah.
hit the turtle shells.
Oh, yeah.
When Mario turns into like a little raccoon critter, that's what he does. He does a spinny thing with his tail, and that tail, boom, knocks right into crossing the pork.
Oh, poor Crossan. Poor Crossan's taking it. Now, as this is fighting, as this is happening, they're fighting. Scrimboga's head is still in the mouth of Blurrg
That's
the
right.
Blurrg.
That's right.
What do you think? Scrimboga does? Does it pull its head out, or does it try to choke the Blurrg by pushing its head farther?
I want to say pull head out, but the choking thing is much more intriguing. So we're gonna go with that.
Okay.
So Scrimboga goes, "Ah!" And that's not entirely accurate, but it's my Varactyl.
Yeah.
So screw it.
Yeah.
That's a cat. Anyway, all those noises. It's hard to understand because its head is in the mouth of a Blurrg. Pushes its mouth in even more, and I think it triggers the Blurrg to react in some way. How does it react? How does Blurrg the Blurrg react?
And then bounces back a bit. And then like charges forward like a headbutt.
Okay, but the head is still in the mouth.
Oh, I assume that at this point the Blurrg disengaged.
Oh, so you okay? I
because
just
of
want to
the
be
pure volume of Scrimboga's scream.
okay. So
it goes
okay, so that noise was full pulling away.
pulling away.
Okay, and it charges again.
Yes,
And headbutts Scrimboga.
it's not the most graceful charge and headbutt you've ever seen.
Okay.
It is like one of those people dressed as a T-Rex at Universal Studios trying to walk around with someone from a staff member guiding them. Like, yeah.
I think that's exactly right. That's great. I think the Scrimboga is shaking its head, unsure what's going on, and the Blurrg does something incredibly surprising, following up on this head, but it stands up a little bit on those stronger back pods, back legs. The Varactyl and the Porg are pulled apart, and those little arms, those little T-Rex arms, the Blurrg saw what the Varactyl did, and was like, slapping. With the tail, that's great. Oh, the Porg slap too, and those little T-Rex arms start to slap.
Slap
Scrimboga.
At Scrimboga?
Yeah.
Right on the side of the feathers. Right?
Yeah,
I would say grabs.
yeah. Slap, grabs.
Grabs the
yeah,
feathers?
Yeah, finds purchase and like,
Yeah.
oh, here's an even better idea.
Goes for the cheap shot. Pulls hair pulling.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no! How many bar fights have you been in, Ash, where you've hair pulled? Does this say you went
I've
to
never
that?
hair
You,
pulled.
you went to that really quick.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just wondering.
All right, you are
a
a
good
hair pulling expert. What does that do to Scrimboga?
Well, it really incapacitates you quick. Like leaving your hair down during a bar fight is a rookie mistake. I've
Yes.
never been in a bar fight.
Yes. Yes.
Or have I? We will find out. So yeah, that's a really painful, kind of incapacitating move, at least for a few beats.
Okay, so Scrimboga screams in pain. What I've given my Varactyl, which just sounds like a cat with existential dread.
That's good. No, that was really good.
Sounds like a Porg.
No, it's similar. It's
Your pork
similar.
sounds like a pork. It's great. All right. So I think, yes, the Varactyl is suddenly in horrible pain. Blurrg suddenly has the advantage, and I think this is where the Vulptex being sexy, being aware of its own appearance suddenly pays off. The Vulptex realizes my poor Varactyl needs help.
Yeah.
And the Vulptex knows it's lighting. It
does.
Golden hour
It's good
on
side,
Archon 1. And this Vulptex, Zok, knows that if I move in just the right way, I can catch the golden hour light and blast it into the eyes of the Porg and the Blurrg.
Exactly what
Does
happens.
this work?
It does work. Both the Porg, Crossan, and Blurrg the Blurrg are stunned. First with the light in their face. The second moment, just the pure beauty of what they're witnessing. They're like, oh, I get it now. What a beautiful crystal fox. Whew. So they're stunned, and then they're stunned.
Oh, so they're like physically stunned and then they're emotionally
Yes.
stunned as well.
Yes.
Okay. What does it sound like when a Porg is stunned emotionally by the beauty of another creature?
That was really good. That seems realistic to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I like
It's
that
like,
it
I would like, comment, and subscribe.
I like that it kind of ended with a question mark of like, where's this going?
Yeah.
Well, I'll ask you what happens next then, Ash. So there's a little bit of this a pause in the fight, but not entirely, where there's a moment of doubt. Does the Porg and the Blurrg get over this moment of hesitation before the Vulptex and the Varactyl can strike? Or do the Vulptex and Varactyl strike? What happens next?
I think this is the moment while everyone is distracted except for the Varactyl, to then charge forward.
With this now bald head, how does the Varactyl strike?
What are like the weapons of the Varactyl? They got claws?
They got feet, yeah.
Yeah.
They got claws. They
Yeah.
got a big
Tails.
tail.
Big tail.
Think of your neighbor's pet lizard.
They got teeth.
Very into
Or
the
a mouth,
tail
at least.
scenario
Yeah,
because-
mouth, claws. Yeah.
Okay, very into the tail scenario because
Oh yeah, tell us about the
we
tail.
obviously saw the Vulptex use the tail move, and the Varactyl's like, I have a much bigger tail.
Much better.
Much bigger.
Much better.
So how does Scrimboga employ
and the
tail?
The Blurrg has 2 feet, legs, whatever. So he's gonna go for that.
Oh, he's just gonna whip his tail around.
He's gonna turn around, whip the tail, kind of sweep the Blurrg out from under his
Can
legs.
put the Blurrg on his butt.
Sweep the Blurrg.
Sweep
So
him.
Blurrg lands on his butt.
Yeah, he's gonna kind of like Eddie Gordo from Tekken. Blurrg the Blurrg.
Good reference. Yep.
Nice,
Okay.
nice. And at this point, it's hard for Crossan the Porg to even stay on the Blurrg.
Yep.
The Blurrg. But I think. What do you think happens?
I think it
Ken?
stays on. I think the Porg does like a teeter-totter one leg, like there it is, and then gets its balance back, and is now she is in full command
Nice.
of the battle.
Nice. Okay. So Zok, the Vulptex, is probably just really enjoying their own appearance at this point,
Got
right?
caught up in its own ego.
Yep. It's just turning around and sharing, like, looking at itself from different angles.
Yeah.
Up to about 1,000 likes.
Checking the
That's fine.
likes.
Yeah.
Yeah, checking the emotional likes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did anyone see this?
Totally phased out of the battle, which puts them at a disadvantage because I think even though this is a fight where a Porg is on a Blurrg and a Vulptex is on a Varactyl, I think this is the moment where Crossan realizes I need to leave my mount to strike. I think Crossan the Porg launches itself, flying,
They do fly.
Fly short distances.
fly short distances, yes, off of the Blurrg. But Ash, does Crossan the Porg attack the Vulptex or the Varactyl?
The Vulptex. And tries to, graphic maybe? Pull the crystals out of the Vulptex.
With its cute little teeth?
Yes, because have you seen their teeth though? They are
Yeah.
small.
They're small but,
But
deadly.
mighty, yeah.
Small
Okay.
but mighty, yeah.
So, wow. Starts biting onto the crystals.
Yes.
pulls one out.
Pulls one out.
Yes, this is so great. I love this. So then it flies around because this is deadly. I love the backstory that you've given Crossan the Porg, that it has been taught violence by Gary. It's got a couple crystals in its mouth. It flaps around. It lands on Scrimboga's head, and it tries to drive the crystal into Scrimboga's eyes. What does it sound like as it's roaring, angry, with crystals in its mouth? And I think it works.
Yeah.
A crystal drives into Scrimboga's eyes. What does Scrimboga sound like when it screams in pain? All the animals just sound like they're gargling.
No difference.
There's just a lot of screaming and pain. It is terrible. Now, at this point, I think Zok the Vulptex might react, right, Ken?
Absolutely. It's a shriek of pain first, and with some Vulptex blood spurting out.
Oh, those
Also
beautiful
upset,
crystals.
losing some of its beauty.
And its beauty.
Yeah.
No
Those
insurance at Lloyd's of London for this Vulptex.
Yeah. Those are likes and follows right there.
The Vulptex, Zok, the Vulptex, springs forward off of Scrimboga and onto the Blurrg and starts biting the Blurrg's neck.
Starts biting the Blurrg's neck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And I think at this point, Blurrg the Blurrg has had enough
Yes.
and knows its greatest advantage is speed. Right. So suddenly, Blurrg the Blurrg takes off running so incredibly fast. The Vulptex has to really drill down to hold on. Suddenly, the riders have switched steeds.
Yes.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But the Blurrg runs in a big circle, builds up speed, and I think headbutts. Actually, you know what? Gut butts with its head. It runs its big head into Scrimboga the Varactyl's gut.
Does a full circle.
A full circle so fast, so amazingly fast. Hits him in the gut. That's what it sounds like when anything gets hit in the gut. That's the universal sound for I've been hit in the gut.
Yeah.
And I think Zok, the Vulptex, goes flying off the Blurrg off of this impact, right?
Flipping in the air. Lands on the ground with a thud.
Okay. In this, I think, might be a good point to pause our combat.
Yeah.
These creatures have all really gone to the farthest, most insane reaches that they can with their abilities. Maybe they could go even farther. They don't even really know why they're fighting.
Right.
They have a pretty peaceful existence in this resistance space arc
This is
area
like
they
a
live in.
fender bender where you get out and everyone starts arguing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, my question to you, my friends, is not only who you want to win, who deserves to win, who would win, who you think would win if this was real, but also where do you think these creatures are at emotionally?
Shamed, confused, that's the Blurrg, angry, the Porg, and kind of thrilled with the fight, that's Scrimboga. A lot of mixed emotions here. But physically, they're all a little beat up, little pain.
A little beat up, a little pain. Yep. Ken, do you have a sense of who you want to win, who you think deserves to win?
Oddly enough, it's the Porg and the Varactyl,
That's how I feel.
opposite sides. So
Really?
I don't know what to do with that emotion.
Well, tell me more. Why? Is it just because you like those creatures better? Do you feel like
I
they did
do
something?
like the Porgs. So I like the command here, the Crossan is shown. I also feel Scrimboga is just kind of a happy-go-lucky creature. The Vulptex, too vain for me. And the Blurrg, too dumb for me. But I don't know which way... I don't know how we work that out.
Okay. Ash, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I 1,000% agree with that because I really like the Scrimboga really wants to be a part of the fight. Crossan wants to be a part of the fight. The Vulptex, way too vain, way too wrapped up in themselves. Their downfall is their own vanity.
Yeah.
And who met Blurrg?
Yeah, Blurrg.
doesn't even really realize that they're there.
Yeah.
Like, if we're being
I'm
honest.
not sure. Yeah, Blurrg's figured this out.
Yeah. They're just doing what Crossan says.
Yeah.
Okay, these are all compelling arguments. I
Yeah.
hear them.
Yeah.
I am
You
with
are the game master.
Well, I'll just share my feelings. I'm with you that as we've cast Zok the Vulptex, that the vanity, and really showed the vanity. I'm down on. I'm not with Zok right now. The Vulptex, Scrimboga, the Varactyl, comes from a long line of proud Varactyls. It shares part of my name. I feel bad for it. It's lost an eye. It has crystals in it.
True.
I
Yes.
think Scrimboga might be on the wrong team and they know it, but they're loyal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, I want a Porg to win because of all these creatures, I love the Porgs the most.
Yeah.
That cry that Gary does on the Falcon is one of my favorite parts in all of Star Wars. It's beautiful. And the Blurrg I feel bad for because it's such an underdog, because it's just a big, dumb thing with a big, dumb name. Blurrg the Blurrg.
Blurrg the Blurrg.
So
Okay.
I have all of these emotions, but we need to come to a decision.
If I had to come down to choosing one team or the other, I'm going Porg Blurrg. Porg Blurrg, I just think there's in the end that might be the winning combo.
The underdogs.
Yeah.
Boga
chose the Vulptex, I guess. I don't know. Chose Zok, but
That's true.
yeah, that was a mistake, maybe.
I think Crossan definitely has the most drive out of the bunch.
Yeah. I mean, Crossan came up with the stabbing crystals
Yeah.
thing. All right. So then let's tell this story. Let's tell a story, because we haven't done this in a while, where someone dies. Where Zok the Vulptex.
This is the one.
Not because it's your namesake, but because it's the Vulptex.
I'm good with it.
All right. I just don't want any.
I didn't, disclaimer, I didn't know we were headed in the vanity direction. I never would have named him.
No, I understand, Ash. It's just you're getting back at me for the Porg Nation problem, and I get it. This is your...
We're working it all out. This
hey,
is Star
This
Wars.
is your revenge.
This is kind of Star Wars counseling as well.
Yes.
Real life Star Wars counseling. I think the Vulptex needs to die. I think the Varactyl can escape with its life, but maybe not its pride.
Yeah.
Let's tell that story.
Okay.
All right. So the Crossan the Porg flutters back over and rejoins Blurrg the Blurrg.
The Blurrg.
And they look at each other briefly. I think the Porg cries out to the Blurrg. And the Blurrg does its best to imitate the cry of the Porg. They are on the same page, and they know we must end this now.
Yeah.
Ash, Ken, go ahead.
No.
You took a breath,
no.
so I know that means you have a thought.
No, I just was having trouble breathing because of the amount of drinks I've had tonight. No, you're good. You're good. Ash can go.
Ash, do you have a sense of if a Borg and a Blurrg were, God damn it, a Porg and a Blurrg, this is why I did this, a Porg and a Blurrg.
You did this after
challenge,
we've had a few drinks.
which I knew would happen. This is why we did it second, because
Yes.
half the fun of this is, can they say Porg and Blurrg
Well
repeatedly?
Okay.
The Porg and the Blurrg are in sync. They want to execute a master attack on a Vulptex and a Varactyl.
Yes.
What do they do?
My instinct is just telling me that the Blurrg puts the Porg in his mouth because he's got a big mouth. And he's like, hop in. I'm going to keep you safe.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's not a safe. He's
Yeah,
exposed
he's
on the
exposed,
back.
right?
He's
Okay.
exposed,
Right. Okay.
yeah.
So, Crossan the Porg, from the outside, inexplicably flutters
Jumps in,
and flies into the mouth of
Yes.
Blurrg the Blurrg.
Which is kind of the cockpit.
Right, yeah. You can pull on the tongue to make it stop or
Yeah.
veer left. Yeah, it
All right,
makes
so
sense.
the Blurrg is saying like, Porg, take the wheel.
Yeah, it's in like Finding Nemo where he's like, hop into my mouth if you want to live.
Perfect. Porg, take the wheel.
So Porg takes the tongue. Ken, Crossan the Porg gets its little flappers on the Blurrg's tongue and controls its movements based on it. What does it have the Blurrg do?
It has it charge headlong at Scrimboga and Zok, who are resetting, right? They're all reset as well.
Yeah.
So now Zok is on top of Scrimboga.
Yeah,
And
jumped up
now
there.
we have a traditional joust.
Oh, back and forth.
They are running at each other. Just one. Think of Loris versus the Mountain here. They're running. So now with Crossan in the mouth, controlling, charging, we know that Blurrg the Blurrg is more speed. Mm-hmm. The Boga with one eye is veering a little to the left. And it puts its head down to headbutt because they've seen this.
Yeah.
That's how this whole thing started. The Scrimboga, the Varactyl, headbutt them, right?
Yeah.
So the Varactyl's like, head down.
I'm going for it.
Head down. And then do you want me to finish it?
Oh, not all the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that's where we're at.
Okay.
A charging Blurrg and a Varactyl with its head down.
Okay, because you've inspired me. And maybe this is where you're going. We'll see.
Let's see.
I think that Crossan, the Porg, suddenly, violently pulls way up on the tongue of Blurrg the Blurrg, causing the Blurrg the Blurrg to use the speed and the power of its hind legs to jump high in the air, bring all of its weight crashing down on the Vulptex. There is an explosion of crystals. It is Blurrg slam by Blurrg the Blurrg.
Right.
And it just explodes into crystals. The crystals drive into the back of Scrimboga. It is like a chandelier being shot by a machine gun.
My
It
God.
fell in a mansion's lobby.
That's
foyer
right.
of a mansion.
It sounds beautiful. Somewhere far off in the distance, the First Order and the Resistance are fighting, and they hear this weird thing like, what's that about?
Yeah.
I'd be so upset if we didn't spend this entire episode just like hating on the Vulptex and building up their like vain villainous ways.
Huge smash. But what, I ask you, my friends, is the aftermath of this? Does the Blurrg take damage from this, from crushing its body down on all these crystals?
Yes, a lot of the crystals penetrate the skin, the rough exterior of the Varactyl, causing it to scream one final time in pain. Turns tail and begins to retreat.
A proud warrior with scars to prove it.
Yeah.
The Vulptex is just a smear of memories and crystals in paste on the back of Scrimboga and on the ground. Was the Blurrg injured, Ash, by the impact of the crystals?
Kind of in like a comedy sort of way, where there's like a bunch of crystals in the booty.
Crystals in the booty.
So somehow in this explosion, all of the crystals that hit him were all in the butt.
Yeah.
And I think Crossan the Porg flutters out and sees this.
Yeah.
And this is what I imagine happening. You tell me if you think Crossan the Porg would do this. I think Crossan the Porg laughs.
Oh yeah, Crossan is very unaffected.
And then flutters around to his Blurrg friend and with his powerful Porg mouth pulls the crystals out of the Blurrg's butt.
Yeah, and kind of eats the crystals because they're pure salt.
And what does it sound like as Crossan the Porg laughs at this comical adventure?
Love it.
And slam to credits.
Slam to credits indeed.
But Ken, is there a post-credit scene as these creatures? I'm going to imagine the Resistance wins the battle.
The camera pans out over this arena, this electric fence, this habitat. And they pan out, and they pan out some more, and then they pan out to reveal Snap Wexley and BB-8. There's a beat. Snap Wexley turns to BB-8 and says,
I'm alive.
Fine. I owe you 200 credits. It was an unfair bet.
An unfair bet. Ash, as Queen of the Porgs, do you feel like the Porgs were done justice here today?
Absolutely.
Good. because
Yeah.
I would feel terrible. You're
Yeah.
like, that's unfair. And I would like to officially apologize to Vulptex fans. I like the Vulptex. Sometimes
Yeah, I do too.
stories go a certain way. Ash cast them as social media stars.
I really like them, but they
not
took
today.
Not today.
They're
Took a villainous turn.
They're no Crossan the Porg, so that's the way it's got to be. As always, thank you all so much for listening. If there are characters that you want to see fight, use the hashtag Databank Brawl. We'll do some normal ones, as normal as we ever go, and we'll continue to do adventures like this because we always discover something new. We learned a lot about the moods, the emotions, the sexiness level of these creatures, and how they fit in the world of social media. Where else are you going to learn that? Ken, where can people find you?
You can find me at Ken Napzok across all social media platforms. And, well, having some regrets for what I've done to the Vulptex here today.
Ash?
First of all, I'm sorry for making it weird again. Thank you for inviting me back. Please invite me back again. But you can find me at Ash Crossan on Twitter and etonline.com, and I'll post on Twitter whatever I'm doing.
We invite you back because you make it weird. So that is why you get invited back. We would not have done such a weird battle if it were not for the inspiration of your love of porgs and your love of the odd, which is great. If you enjoy Databank Brawl and, in fact, all of ForceCenter, let us know by leaving us a rating and review on iTunes. We're building to 500. When we get there, we'll do a special Databank Brawl with main characters from Star Wars. Who knows? They might be writing something. We also like to thank Tony Thaxton. He wrote our theme music for Databank Brawl and other ForceCenter shows. You can check out his Patreon at patreon.com/Cloud City Soundtrack. You can also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/ForceCenter. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram is at Joseph Scrimshaw, not Scrimboga. And check out my albums, podcasts, and shows on my website at josephscrimshaw.com. You can like ForceCenter on Facebook and follow us on Twitter is at ForceCenterPod. And until next time, as Luke Skywalker once said, well, no one was really listening to him, I care. That's it for Databank Brawl.